just in Indianapolis last weekend for the Squared Circle Expo. Tell me about that experience. You were signing, you wrestled on Friday. I don't know about Saturday, but I know Friday. What was that experience like?
It was a lot of fun. That was my first time at Squared Circle Expo. It
Okay.
was massive. I didn't expect to see so many people there. I did signings, I did photo ops, I wrestled Alex Zane for BLP, which was so much fun. And yeah, I got to meet a lot of cool people.
That's awesome. I did that one in 2022, and the same thing. I'm like, it'll be a convention. I've been to 100 of these, but good God, it's
Yeah,
huge. Like, oh
I
my
actually got to
God.
bring my mom, and my mom had never seen a convention or anything like that, and she was like, "Holy crap, kid! Like you have fans." And I was like, "Trust me, I don't even believe it some days. It's wild."
Yeah, it's huge. But right now with AEW, the for one, I could not be happier for the amount of TV time you've been getting lately, the career development that you've had going, the character development you've had going on. Oh my God, this how much fun are you having right now with everything being partnered with Julia? You guys have both evolved so much.
I'm honestly having so much fun. I've never been a heel in my career other than like the random occasions at like a training or whatnot.
Sure.
So it's really cool to still be learning something this far in and learning at the stage that I'm at with all the amazing people to get like feedback and critiques and stuff from. And it's so much fun doing things that I would have never dreamed of in my wildest dreams, and I'm just so grateful for. So
Right. Where did where did the darker character come from? Because you've always been just that like upbeat, happy, just like this is such a turn for you in so many ways. Where did this character come from?
Um, I don't know. My mom says I have a really bad resting bitch face, so probably that. No, I just never been a heel, and when it was like presented, I was like, well, this is a really huge opportunity, so I'm just gonna full send it. And here we are, and I feel more comfortable than I think I ever have, honestly.
Look,
I just feel like myself when I'm uncaffeinated. So yeah, it's a lot of fun though. I love it.
do you, I mean, it's a much darker character than anybody's seen you do before. Same thing with Julia, such similar, such a upbeat, peppy, and now this is so dark. Do you like the darker stuff? Is that something you've always been interested in, or is this completely like out of left field and like just different?
No, definitely not. Growing up, so like my parents have been wrestling fans my whole life. So I watched wrestling growing up. And one of my favorites was always Undertaker and just like the
Oh,
spectacle that was his presentation. So I definitely think like part of it was kind of like, oh, he's like the legend. And it was just the whole like not even just like the moves or like promos or whatnot. It's just like the whole presentation, the whole package of like the aura around him, if that made sense.
right. Yeah, for sure. And I've always loved just the darker side of stuff. I always like it's always been just so interesting to me. And those characters like the House of Black, Undertaker, even Sting to a degree, like I always gravitate towards those characters the most. So I think that's part of why I love what you're doing right now. You know, that moment where it initiated with the mist hitting you and then the slow build to where you're at right now. What was that moment like for you when you got hit with that mist? And then there was also a moment where you hit the mist on somebody as well.
I
What
did.
were those moments like for you leading up to those and then executing them too?
It was I had never been misted or anything like that, so I didn't honestly know what to expect. Um, Julia definitely got me in the face, and I got her in the chest. But it was really cool because I had never expected to do something like that.
Mhm.
There's so many different aspects in wrestling, and that little 16-year-old me that wanted to start training would have never thought I would actually get to. So just the fact of actually like, hey, you're doing these things on national television on top of all of that is mind blowing.
Yeah. And I love how it's really is long-term storytelling with how effective that mist is and how much the black mist can really affect not just you physically, but your mental state as well, and really change so many things about you. It really there's so many times you see the mist used and it doesn't do anything, but this has been a really big focal point and really effective part of the story too. I think people forget that that's how this started, I think, is
Yeah.
with the mist. So it's really cool that it's been so important. So
Yeah.
I love that. Um, you are obviously you're from Chicago. You're very familiar with Indiana, Indianapolis. I didn't realize this. I actually photographed a show you were on in Terre Haute back in 2020. I had no idea until I
Oh,
started
New
going
Wave
back
stuff.
down. Yes, New Wave. I'm like, holy crap. I had no
Was that the
idea.
with Sabin Gage?
What's that?
Was that the one where I tagged with Sabin Gage, or was it a
I
singles match?
I think it was a tag match. I do think it was a
Uh,
tag. Yes.
so that
Yes.
was the day after my 21st birthday.
No
Um,
way.
yeah, it was me and Sabin Gage against the original Sins, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds
Uh,
right. Yep.
yeah, that was the first
Yeah.
time I ever got split open the hard way. So
Really
yeah, I was
nice.
pinning one of the guys, and the other one was supposed to break it up, and the other one like kicked out still. So when he kicked out, he launched me forward because I was so small, and the guy came with a forearm to break it. You probably can't see because I have makeup on, but like he got me up in my forehead,
Oh,
or
wow.
not my forehead. Oh my goodness, my
Oh,
eyebrow.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, right underneath my eyebrow, and my mother was like, "Oh my God, you're bleeding! What the hell?" She's freaking out. And because of where it was, it just kept reopening, and I was like,
Oh, geez.
is somebody gonna glue me shut? Like, what
Oh,
am I doing?"
God. Well, you're going to be in Indianapolis again here soon. Dynamite's coming back to Indy. We usually get you guys in the fall. We're getting you guys in the spring this time, and it is the week before Dynasty. But coming back to Indiana and Indianapolis now with a major company, after coming through here so many times on the Indies, especially like Black Label, like what is it like for you when you come back to Indianapolis now on such a bigger stage? And you know the city so well.
Yeah. It's wild. Like, because there's so many times that just the drive to India, I could do that in my sleep at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's a quick 3 hours. Like, it's
Yeah.
nothing. So now and it's like, oh, you're going to a really, really big arena, and it's like a really, really big show with a lot of people. It's so wild to think like, oh, this is like where I started, and like, look what I'm at now, kind of thing. I'm still in the same place in the same town. It's kind of like a second home.
Yeah. And so much support for you here. I mean, I remember the first time I went to Dynamite in 2021 when you came out. Man, just the pop, the people that just the support for you here is just it is so awesome to see all of this happening for you right now. It's got so well deserved. But we're coming up, I think this weekend will be 3 years that you've been with AEW now. I think 2021, I think.
I did extra work for them in
Right.
2021, but
Right.
yeah, 2021 was the big year that I got the first contract.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So take me a little bit through the journey of extra work to getting signed to now being one of the hottest stories, one of the more focused on stories on TV. Like extra work to getting signed to Focal Point has got to be what's this ride been like? How has that journey been?
Um, so I honestly never in a million years expected to get to work here. Like I always wanted to. Like I always dreamed of working for AEW. It was like once AEW kind of became a thing, I was still training at a smaller school. And I remember driving past the oh, they renamed the arena. Why can I not think of it? The one
The
in
the,
Hoffman, where the
the
first
now
all in.
the now
Yes.
arena? Yeah.
I remember driving past it, and the sign was for the first All In, and one of the other trainee people were driving me, and I was like looking at the sign out the car window, and he was like, "Don't even, you're never gonna make it there." And then when I was at Wembley this year, I was like, "This is the biggest fu without even having to say it." Like, um, but no, so I was an extra in 2020. Joey Janela actually told me to hit up Sean Dean, and was like, "Hey." So yeah, then I became an extra in 2020. It was the week of WrestleMania in Tampa. So I ended up doing extra work then. And then I didn't hear back for a little bit, and I was doing just a bunch of indies. And it was actually the weekend of NWA Empower that Mickey
Okay.
James did.
Mhm.
I was at rehearsal, and Sean Dean texted me, and he was like, "Hey, you're needed this week." And I was like, "Sweet, I'll be there straight off the plane." And he goes, "Cool." Um, and then it was all out week. And then the first day I was there, he was like, "Oh, you're probably not going to have a match." I was like, "Okay." And then I think it was a little bit later. He goes, "Never mind, you're wrestling Riho." I was like, "Oh, okay." And they were like, and then he like pulled me aside. And he was like, "They're looking at you, right?" And I was like, "No, they're not me." But like all nervous and shit. So then I got, oh, so sorry.
You're good. You're
So then I
good.
wrestled Riho the first night, and then the second night I wrestled Red Velvet. And then that was the match where Tony Khan came out and put me in the Battle Royal.
Yes.
And I cried like a little baby. But then like got to the back, I got the crying out of my system and finally thought I calmed down. And I was about to call my mom to tell her that I was going to be in the Battle Royal. And CD told me that they wanted to offer me a contract. So then I cried even more. And I remember I walked outside to call my mom because there was like shitty signal in the building. And I called my mom and I was like, "Hey, I'm in the Battle Royal." And she freaked out and I was like, "Wait, that's not it." And she was like, "Wait, what do you mean?" And I told her I was offered a contract, and I've never heard my mother scream that loud in my life. She was ecstatic, and like that second, they bought tickets to All Out, and they were there for my very first moment. And that's actually why like I have this one is a 21 because I was 21 in 2021 when I got signed.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
that's
So the
awesome.
rest of kind of history. I was just kind of there every week,
Right.
and I just love it. And it has been wild. Like I've wrestled people that I never even imagined I would meet. Um, I wrestled for titles. I was at the largest wrestling, show in the world. Like
Mhm.
it's wild that this is my job.
I
But
know.
I love it so
And
much.
and you weren't super far into your career when you got signed. It's not like you've been wrestling for 10 years. I think you were maybe what, three and a half, four, maybe 5 years into your career when all of this really happened for you.
I was 5 years in. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. What was that experience like? Because 5 years is in wrestling feels like a long time sometimes, but it's
It's really
really
not.
not. It really
No.
isn't, you know?
So like, the first place that I started training, they didn't allow me to branch out to other promotions, so I only stayed there. So I wrestled the same people kind of over and over. So then once I transitioned to a different training school, I branched out and I was like, "Oh, there's like a whole new world. Like there's so much to learn. There's so many people to wrestle. There's so much to do," kind of thing. But I was at that school for 3 years, and then I was on the Indies for another two, and then I got signed.
Gotcha. It's crazy how fast everything has just happened, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So last week on Dynamite, you were in the Fatal Four-Way match, where the winner goes to Dynasty to face Julia, and there was a lot of history between all of you in that match, obviously, especially you and Willow. But the really interesting thing about us, I think, is like if you had won that match, you were going to be facing your friend at the pay-per-view for the title. Did you think about what that dynamic could have possibly been like?
um, it was kind of in the back of my mind, but at the same time, I was more just targeting Willow and Statlander. It
Of
was more
course.
of a, "Hey, you guys put me through hell in this street fight," but I mean, I asked for the street fight, so I can't really bitch, and I loved every second of it. um, but I did wrestle Julia once. I wrestled her or no, 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 I actually wrestled her twice. Sorry. I wrestled her once, like years and years ago when she was still a cheerleader, and I was still,
Sure.
bubbly backwards hat. And then we wrestled at Arthur Ashe, which was really, really cool to do it in that building. So I think, I mean, she's very talented, but I don't know. I don't want to fight her. I like her.
Right. Right. Whose idea was whose idea was the thumbtacks in that street fight? That's awesome. That's
I love hardcore matches.
really
Um, yes. I remember watching I believe it was a TLC match with my mom, and I looked at her and I was like, "I want to go through a table one day," and she was like, "No, it's not happening." And she's like freaking out, and I was like, "All right." And then when she saw that I was having a street fight, she's like, "God damn it, Skye, you're so lucky it's in Canada and I can't go." And I was like, "I'm sorry, don't kill me." But yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I've wanted to
yeah.
do it. I've done them on the indies, but I wanted to do one on TV for so long. And then the fact that
Mhm.
I was like, "I'm gonna show you guys that I want to go crazy." And I think I
Yes.
did.
I love hardcore matches too, especially when there's a story behind it. which I was lucky enough to interview Mick Foley and got to tell him his one night stand tag team match and his I Quit match with The Rock are two of my favorite matches of all time because there was a story behind those matches. It wasn't violence, just violence. Two
Yeah.
of my favorite all time matches. So when I saw you do that spot and being in that match, I got really excited. It was awesome. But random question, what does over 100,000 fans look like when you're in the ring?
Wild. Um, I have never seen that many people. And or you mean like Wembley?
Yeah,
Okay, so I wasn't in the ring at Wembley.
I thought
Um,
you,
I didn't
I
wrestle
thought,
at Wembley.
I thought
Just
you
saying.
did. Okay, gotcha. Well, I
I
mean,
did
what does
stand,
that look like though? You
I
were
did stand
there.
right by the entrance, and I kind of
Okay.
just like took a video with my phone and did the whole 360, and I it was insane. I've never heard something that loud, or even imagined that I would work for the company that would put on a show this big. Um, so it was wild to just be there and be like, I just get to sit back and watch all my coworkers do really cool stuff.
I remember when it got announced, I was like, Wembley, really Wembley? And then to see it come together, I was so happy to see that event happen and to see that really, really go down and go as well as it did. God, I was so, just as a wrestling fan, I was just so happy to see that show happen, and to see it sell as, good God, 100,000. I was just so happy for all of you guys. So, um, coming up in just a couple weeks, obviously Indianapolis Dynamite. I know I asked you a little bit ago, but how does it feel to be coming back to Indianapolis for Dynamite right now? It's the go home show. It's the week of Dynasty. So, I mean,
I'm
oh,
Yeah, I'm super excited. Like everything's kind of like close to me, like Indy, Peoria, and then St. Louis. So it's kind of cool
yes,
because everything's kind of like home. Like I've wrestled in all of these towns before
yeah,
on the Indies, so now it's like doing it on the big stage is really cool.
yes. And then obviously Dynasty coming up just that weekend. God, like you said, it's close to home. It's a pay-per-view so close to where you're at. Like it's gotta feel good knowing that this pay-per-view is coming. You're such a huge part of everything going on right now. And you're gotta be in something special, I would think. Like it's gotta just feel good knowing the show is coming up.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's still wild to me like that I have parts to do in like pay-per-views and whatnot. So and then the fact that it's close to home and like I can bring my family. My aunt and uncle are actually coming to the Peoria and Collision or the oh my goodness, I can speak the Collision in Peoria. There we go.
Right?
Um, but it's just cool because like I get to show them like, hey, I made it. Like your guys' support from the beginning and like look where I've gotten to now, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be there in Indianapolis for the Dynamite and Rampage show. I cannot wait. Um, I wish I could be at Dynasty. I don't think I can make that trip, but I'll be watching because I've watched every pay-per-view there's been so far. And Skye, congratulations on everything you have going on right now. I can't think of somebody that's more deserving and as nice of a person as you are to have this happening for you. It's about time. You've deserved it. Thank you so much for doing this interview, and good luck in just a couple days on Dynamite because it's
Thank
going to be a
you.
good
Thank you
show.
so
It's
much.
going
I
to be
really appreciate